How are we, lads? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Nick from Australia, and welcome to another live stream for your Monday night, October 21, 2024, 8:09 p.m. here in New South Wales. Apologies for the slight delay, man. I was just going through my fixture for tonight's video, and I just wasn't satisfied with some of the games, so I just sort of had a couple of last-second changes, and it was so hard to pick, man. It's so hard to pick. Now, what I will start by saying is we already know the Vegas games. So Penrith, Cronulla, Canberra, and the Warriors won't be involved in the video because they're already locked in for their round one games in Vegas. Panthers play the Sharks, Raiders play the Warriors, as we already know. So they're not going to be in this video. So that just comes down to the rest of the competition, and I've come up with it, and I've got my fixture for round one. I think it's decent enough. It was hard to put together, but it's there and it's ready to go. So we'll go through it in a moment. But of course, if you're new around here, guys, don't forget to like the stream and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. Shout out to all the new subscribers, man. That Fiji Papua New Guinea review got over 3,000 views the other night. It absolutely popped off. And shout out to all the new subscribers. I gained about another 150 to 200 subscribers over the last 48 hours. So shout out to the Papua New Guinea and Fiji fans and whatnot. Now, guys, I've done this for a couple of years now, this fixture thing. So basically what it is, as we know, the Nrl draw usually comes out around first or second week of November. And I'm going to be I always like to do a bit of a prediction. What is the round one draw going to be? Who's going to play who? Where's each game going to be at? Blah, blah, blah. So it's sort of a bit of it's a bit of fun, bit of a custom fixture. What I would do if I was in charge of the NRL and whatnot. So let's get into it. And just a disclaimer, it's a new season. Teams have got different. Teams are going to be better. Teams are going to be worse. That's just how it is. So some fixtures may look gross to some people, but it's a new season, and last year doesn't mean shit now. So let's just get straight into it. And we're going to start off with the season opener. Now, Vegas has already happened at this point. We need a big Thursday night game to set the tone. And I found this one probably the hardest one to pick out of them all. And I've come up with it. Usually, I don't like too many rivalry games to start the year. And I think this game, it's a top three rivalry in the NRL, and I think it's a great way to start the year. So I would have the Eels versus the Bulldogs Thursday night, 7:50 from CommBank Stadium. I think this is a very good way to start the season. Parramatta versus Canterbury. Now, they did play each other in the season opener in 2020, and they got 22,000 fans there. I think the game has gotten bigger since then. And I think the crowd numbers won't be an issue for a Thursday night. I think you'd probably get 25 to 30,000 at CommBank. I know Thursday nights isn't the greatest in Sydney, but it does work in certain areas. But Eels, Bulldogs, Thursday night footy, season opener, CommBank. If it doesn't get 30,000, it'll get a minimum of 25,000. So really good way to start the season, in my opinion. Now, moving on to Friday night football and the 6 o'clock game. The 6 o'clock game is never the best game. It's always a game where you look at it and you go, I might watch half an hour of it and I'll just wait for the big one later on because, the Friday 8 p.m. game's always the bigger one. But the 6 p.m. game, it tends to be quite decent. It also can be a bludger as well. So I'm going to go with the Dragons up against the Tigers from Wynn Stadium in Wollongong. Down there in the Gong, Dragons and the Tigers. Dragons got a few new players. Tigers seem to have a brand new look team. I think this isn't a bad fixture. Dragons taking on the Tigers at Wollongong, not too bad to start off your Friday night. Dragons up against the Tigers, not the worst game in the world. You might have said yuck a year ago, but with the recruitment of both sides, it's fairly an intriguing game to start off Friday night footy. Now we get to the Friday 8 p.m. game, and whether you like it or you hate it, you know the Broncos are going to be involved in this fixture. I'll be very surprised if they're not. The Broncos always get the Friday night fixture, 8 p.m., usually at Suncorp, and I think this game would be at Suncorp. And look, it may not be the greatest game in the world to some people, but I think as in terms of TV viewership, potential crowd numbers, it'll probably be close to a sellout. I think we're going to have the Broncos and the Storm. I know it's a lot of people say Melbourne by 20, Melbourne by 30, whatever, but Broncos Friday night footy at Suncorp Stadium against the team that just played in the grand final in the Melbourne Storm. You've got the two previous grand final losing teams against each other on a big Friday night game at Suncorp Stadium. You got the 2023 and 2024 runners-up playing each other on a Friday night at Suncorp Stadium, most likely a sellout. Broncos and Storm, it's a big game. It's going to get TV ratings, and I think a lot of people are going to tune into it. It's a big game, and bit of a new era at the Broncos as well, so not a bad fixture. Now, moving on to Super Saturday. Now, there's usually only two games on the Saturday because of how hot it is. They usually have a 5:30 game, a 7:40 game, and then they have the one Sunday game with one team obviously getting the bye. Now, Saturday, usually, obviously this year we saw in 2024, Eels and Bulldogs was in that time slot, and we had Titans, Dragons as the other time slot. Now, you would usually have it the other way around, but what I would do here is I wouldn't have the most exciting game at 5:30, but I would have a decent game for 5:30, and I think they should go to Newcastle for this game. I think 5:30 is a good time slot for McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle, and we shall see the Newcastle Knights hosting the Gold Coast Titans. Not a bad game. Not a bad game. Newcastle made the finals last year. They will want to start the season off well at home. Against a Gold Coast side that have recruited a experienced front rower in Campbell Gillard. And look, it might look like a gross game on paper, but Knights and Titans, if both teams are on, could be entertaining. But that's just how the fixture goes. You are always going to get a couple of games that are not that exciting on paper, but it might turn out to be better than you expect. So Knights and Titans for the Saturday 5:30 game. The Saturday night game, 7:40. I think a perfect time slot for Townsville, Queensland Country Bank Stadium. Since the Cowboys were the away team last year against the Dolphins, I think it's only fair that in the Cowboys' 30th anniversary in the NRL, they get a home game. And there's only a few teams to select from here. So I would go Saturday night, 7:40, which would be 6:40 in Queensland because of daylight savings. Let's go with the Cowboys up against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. I think this is a very good game. It has been a while since the Rabbitohs played in Townsville, and I think having this game, round one, up in Townsville, Cowboys, Rabbitohs, bit of a new era for the Rabbitohs with Wayne Bennett coming back as head coach. Cowboys sort of a new look, I guess, in the outside back. So I think it's a good fixture, man. Saturday night game could be entertaining. Cowboys versus Souths. So I think it's a really good fixture. Pretty good game for Saturday night, 7:30, 7:40, whenever they kick it off. And the final game, Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock. I think it's only right that you have this next game in Sydney. And I think we should have Allianz Stadium being used for round one. And it should be the Sydney Roosters taking on the Manly Sea Eagles, a semi-final rematch from last year. I like this fixture a lot because Manly, they will want a bit of revenge from last year's semi-final. The Roosters, they would like to be playing at home. I don't think Roosters played at home last year until round 3. So I think it's fair to give the Roosters a season opener at Allianz Stadium, Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock. Probably get a sellout. The Manly fans will travel over the Harbour Bridge. They'll be getting the ferry. They'll be getting on the bus. I'm sure they'll travel for this one. Roosters versus Manly. And then that means the Dolphins get the bye. I mean, there was no real reason to it. I was just going through the fixture, and I'm like, the Dolphins have been the Sunday afternoon 4 o'clock game the last 2 years since they come into the NRL. The Tigers and Dragons have had the bye the last 2 years, so maybe give a bye to one of the Queensland sides. And I'm like, well, they won't give it to the Cowboys because it's their 30th anniversary in the game. They won't give it to the Broncos because that's the NRL's golden boys. And as for the Gold Coast, they tend to they gave the Gold Coast the bye in round 2 last year, I think it was. So I think the Dolphins get the bye round 1. Now I'll go through the draw again quickly. Thursday night footy, I'd go with the season opener at CommBank Stadium with the Eels taking on the Bulldogs. Should get 25 to 30,000 for that game. Friday, 6 o'clock, head out to Wollongong, Dragons and the Tigers. Not a bad game there for your Friday, 6 p.m. The 8 o'clock game at Suncorp, Broncos against the Storm. Fairly big game there. It would be good for TV ratings, and you'd get 45 to 50,000 anyway, if not a sellout. Newcastle versus the Gold Coast, the Saturday 5:30 game. Might be a bit of a dour game, but you've got to throw teams at each other at some stage. And Knights and Titans down there in Newcastle. Not a bad little fixture there for Saturday 5:30. Cowboys and Souths, Saturday night in Townsville. I think it's a really good fixture. Would be a 6:40 kickoff in Queensland. Souths haven't played in Townsville for at least 3 or 4 years now. So they're due to play in Townsville, and I think with it being the Cowboys' 30th anniversary in the NRL, have the Cowboys take on the Rabbitohs, and then we finish off at Allianz Stadium Sunday afternoon. Roosters versus Manly. Fairly big game there. You'd probably get close to a sellout as well. So I'd go with that, and Dolphins get the bye. But guys, that's pretty much my round 1 fixture. Let me know what you think. I appreciate all the kind comments in the live chat there. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. If you missed the live stream and you're watching this back as a video, comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think of my round 1 fixture. Let me know your round 1 fixture. I would love to see it. Now, the other thing I want to mention as well, for those that are asking, from what I've been told and what I understand, the Rabbitohs and the Bulldogs are not going to be able to host a round 1 game at a cool stadium due to other events on at the time. So if you're wondering why I've given Souths and Canterbury a away fixture, that's pretty much the reason behind that. Apparently they can't play at a core anyway. So that's what I've been told, and I think they should play away anyway. Make it more interesting. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Have a good night, everybody, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Pacific Championships, Week 2, predictions and preview and whatever. Anyway, I'll see you then. Have a good night, everyone.